Hi, welcome to BAL, Building Athletic Lifestyles. I'm Neil. Today we're going to talk about energy balance. Why do we care about energy balance? Well, it's going to be one of the biggest determinants of whether we gain or whether we lose weight. So if we're looking to make a change to our body shape or our body composition, then this is something we need to understand as we go. So the second thing to address is what even is energy balance? So energy balance, real simple, the equation is simply energy input minus energy output. So the energy you're putting into your body minus the energy you are expending and outputting. So we tend to focus mostly on 24 hours a day because it's quite convenient, but we do also want to keep in mind the broader picture and think across a week, a month as well. Now the best way to describe this equation of your energy input and your energy output is your energy input is what you are consuming within a day. So we typically think of this as our food and drink, what we're actually taking on board and we're fueling the body, the system with. And then our energy output is what we're expending. So things like your organ function, your movement throughout the day, they're all going to add up as your energy output as you go through the day. Nice and simple. So the easiest way to relate this is to think of our bank balance. Your income is your energy input for the month, that money that you've earned. Your spending, the expenses throughout that month, is your energy output. If you are spending more than you're earning, you're going to be in debt. You're going to be in a deficit, that negative position. If you are spending less than you are earning, if your income is greater than your output, you're going to have money left in the bank at the end of the month. So because we're talking about energy, we also have to address the first law of thermodynamics. It sounds fancy, it's the law of the conservation of energy. It's real simple. All it means is actually that energy cannot be created or destroyed. It is transferred from one position to another. As well, we have a unit to measure that energy in, that's the calorie. So the calorie is simply the energy required to heat 1 gram of water by 1 degree Celsius or Kelvin. Typically, when we're talking about food and nutrition, we're focusing more on kilocalories, which is just 1,000 calories. So to help illustrate this position of whether we're in a surplus or a deficit with that energy balance, we've got this little graph over here which has appeared before. Essentially what we're showing here is that our input is less than our output. So for an individual that's trying to lose weight, they will be in that deficit. The size of the deficit is the difference between the two. Again, we typically measure in a 24-hour period, but it doesn't have to exclusively be the case. It's just quite convenient for people in general. So now that we know, because that energy cannot be created or destroyed and we're in that deficit, we've used that energy. We've got to find that energy from somewhere else within our system, the system being the body itself. So then we look to our stored energy. That's where our body fat comes into the equation as well. Each gram of fat has 9 calories within it. So that stored body fat we've got has got plenty of energy in it that we can use to make up that deficit so that we can still complete that energy output without having to break the laws of physics and thermodynamics. So the temptation is quite often to think, right, well, the bigger the deficit, the more weight I lose. So we're also going to have a few other effects that will happen alongside that weight loss. So actually some of that weight loss will be muscle loss as well. So you'll lose a lot of weight, but you may be losing body fat and muscle alike. It will also impact your bone mass and your hormone regulation as well. Flip that on the other side, when we look at a surplus, when we're in a particularly large surplus, yes, we've got all the necessary energy we might need for building muscle as well, but we're also going to have excess. That excess energy is then going to get stored as fat. This is where the bulking comes from, where you've got, you eat a big surplus so that you can put on as much muscle as possible, but you also get a little fluffy around the edges and put on a bit of body fat along the way, just because that energy input is much higher than the energy output. So some of that energy, again, can't get destroyed. It's got to go somewhere. We tend to store it. So the solution is to find a way of having a consistent deficit or surplus that is sustainable. So think small, think marathon, not a sprint. We don't want a huge swing. We don't want to go into a massive deficit for a really short period of time, unless you've got an operation or you've got to hit a certain weight by, I don't know, for a competition, something like that, then it's more pertinent. But for most of us, we're not looking for those sort of things. We're just looking for a slight change. So think marathon, not sprint. Find a consistent way of achieving a small surplus or a small deficit. We're talking about 10%. It will fluctuate depending on the individuals. You can push up to 15 if you're going in a deficit. With a surplus, you don't really need to. So I hope this helps. I hope this helps you understand that energy balance. Remember, it's just the energy you are consuming minus the energy you are expending. Any questions or queries, drop them down below. I'm more than happy to get back to you from there, and I'll see you in the next one.